Okay, it's Monday, August 26th, 6:02. Meeting of the Norton Permanent Building Committee. First off, I assume everybody got a copy of the minutes. Take a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Second. Thank you. All those in favor, raise your hand. All opposed? So moved. Correspondence mail, I received nothing. Haven't signed it yet.
I know, I need it.
And haven't got any mail either that I know of, well, other than inter-office mail from the town treasurer. My report, I met with the selectmen last Thursday, purpose being that there was some question about paying for the septic system 2 years ago, and I thought that, if they wanted clarification or any other questions about what was going on, that I could answer them. I did give them each a copy of this, even though it's probably in one of their packets somewhere, but it's about all I talked about. There was only one question, and I believe it was about demolition of the old building, and I said we're still waiting for a quote from Seaver. And other than that, I also thank the different departments in town because they've been really responsive. The highway department gave me a couple of sawhorses. I was concerned about the security in the building, especially to the fact that we were having a meeting on one Tuesday and a civilian was walking through the building while we were having the meeting, that it wasn't clearly marked, that it was a construction site and no trespassing, whatever. So we put up the sawhorses and we got that done. It still is a construction site, it's still not open to the public. And that's it for me. You're up, Steve.
Okay, thanks, Jim. Good evening, everyone. So, going right into the senior center progress. So since our last meeting, which was on the 29th of July, the architectural interior and exterior punch list has been ongoing. HVAC startup was finalized last week. They had some internal communication issues that required the manufacturer's tech to return. The controls contractor was there today to confirm everything was working properly, and the testing and balancing subcontractor will be there tomorrow to finish up the units that he couldn't balance because of the communication issues. That means we should have a draft balancing report by mid to end of this week, which we need for occupancy. The AZEK composite pattern bricks and edging were installed. Top course of paving and striping was installed. Fencing was installed.
Thank you.
The traffic signage was installed, handicap signage. Additional sidewalks have been poured. The Board of Health inspection was complete at this point through July. Seaver is approximately 97% complete with the work. So some photo progress shots. Photo on the left is a photo of the front elevation of the senior center taken on the 20th of August. Photo on the left is the parking lot facing northwest towards the strip mall. You see the paving is complete, the fencing is in, the landscaping is in. The grasses are going to need some attention. We'll talk about that later. Next photo essentially showing the fence along the property line. And the photo on the right is the fence that's blocking the view of the condensing units from the patio area out in the rear of the building. In the foreground here is some of the patio furniture was just stored there while up until the bricks were installed. Next two photos are the AZEK composite bricks or pavers at the patio, with the edging installed and the loam packed into the edging. Next photo is a little bit longer view of the brick patio. Photo on the left, and the photo on the right is some of the striping in the parking lot. Those are mostly exterior stuff that we've been doing in the last month, and the mechanical units. So, look ahead schedule for Severs to complete the punch list, complete the HVAC testing and balancing, which is scheduled for tomorrow, and then move on to the commissioning with the third-party commissioning agent. Install the building lettering signage and the dedication plaque. Complete some remedial work at concrete sidewalks. Manage the weed growth and reseeding. So, there's green stuff that's growing, not necessarily the right stuff. And to really do anything at this point, it's not in the right season. The first thing they need to do is herbicides to get rid of the weed growth and reseed or slice seed or whatever the landscape subcontractor deems is what he needs to get the grass to grow, and then continue with the maintenance of the mowings until it's accepted. We need to program the lighting controls and do the training. We need to install the final lock set cores and the key box. All the cores for the lock sets are with the town, just a matter of when they're going to put those in, which is going to be in the next week or two at the latest. Then they have to obtain the building department, fire department, and architect and engineer inspections at this point by the 30th. Ed has done his architectural punch list, and they're working that off. We do have a mechanical punch list that they're going to come back and take a look. Civil's coming out tomorrow. And landscape has provided some comments on the landscape. The big thing is obtain substantial completion and occupancy at this moment. We're probably going to be on the same day, ideally by the 30th. Then continue on with owner training and complete closeout document submission, O&Ms, warranties, that's what it is. So other issues, some of these we discussed last meeting. Right now, the request for wall art, as we reviewed last meeting, that's on hold for the moment. The Nelson tribute at the lobby, town manager has been in contact with the Nelson's attorney to try and get whatever they want, to probably assume it's a couple portraits. But we haven't seen anything as of yet. There is an area designated in the lobby for that. The Mass DOT sidewalk that we're required to install along Mansfield Ave, that now has a date of 9/9 to start. We take them 3 days, 3 to 4 weeks. The sidewalk that the DOT installed from our property line to Freeman Street has been completed. Moving. COA move date right now is scheduled for 9/9. As you can see, the moving boxes have been delivered for 2 weeks in advance to get things packed. Food pantry move date is scheduled for the 3rd, as far as I was understanding, with materials, and be open for business on the 9th. All of this contingent on Seaver obtaining a certificate of occupancy permit, which they again are moving towards for the end of this week. Any questions on schedule before I get into the additional version? I'm sure there is.
I'd just like to add that I have been communicating with Mike Units about the Nelson thing, because I'm also worried about their donation, how it's gonna be worded. It's supposed to help with the construction, and I don't want the construction to be all done by the time they give the money, because some legal eagle out there decides that the money didn't go towards construction. I asked Mike last Thursday, I said, do we have to get the town council involved to move the lawyer in Georgia? I'm a little worried about getting the two pictures and a plaque for the Nelsons, but I'm also worried about the $1.5 million donation that was willed to us that doesn't seem to be coming, and the check's not even in the mail, so I question what's going on and how it's worded. And Mike didn't answer me the first time around, so when I got home Sunday night, I sent another email to Mike questioning, do we really have to get the town council involved? Because maybe a letter from a lawyer would be more powerful than the town manager phone calls. I want to get this done. We've approved it 3 months ago. I don't understand the pictures and stuff, I can half understand that, but the lawyer taking out of the escrow account that he has for the family to send us a check shouldn't take 2.5 months. And I just don't want there to be any questions later on about what's going on. The sidewalk has no effect on occupancy of the building. Go ahead.
I just wanted to chime in on that. I would not recommend getting town council to go out. That would be, to me, not a smart move. I think the funds are coming. I think even if it's already paid for, those funds are going to go towards paying down that debt. So I wouldn't. I mean,
Well,
I would approach it a lot more subtly than
well,
getting upset about it.
I think we've been very subtle for 1.5 years.
And we could be settled for another
We
couple months.
acquiesced to their request.
Absolutely.
We changed the name of the building. Every time we come out with something public, it's the Nelson Senior and Community Center, and we are getting nothing back. And I don't know the lawyer. Communicating with him in Georgia seems to be, to me, not working, so.
I just think that getting upset about it in a public forum is probably not the way to go. I think that's a completely bad form.
Okay.
They're offering $1.5 million. Let's handle that one behind the scenes.
But I think you also get into a legal jam.
And
if-
again, I would handle that behind the scenes.
Yeah,
I would
well-
not bring that up at a public meeting.
But it's easier to get it done beforehand and not get in that jam until, if the building's completed, we get the check 2 years from now, and the request in the will says to go towards the construction of the building, well, the building's already constructed. So does the family then go, well, you didn't use the funds the way it was intended, we want the funds back?
I'm giving my advice and
Okay,
I'm
well,
giving it, so.
I'll take it under advisement, it's more advice than I got from the town council. I'm sure he will take it under advisement, I will not push it, I have decided after this weekend, well, actually, it was a weekend ago, I've gotten way too many phone calls on me being too nosy. I've decided to step back and just go, the answer to the question is, ask Stephen or ask Mike.
Absolutely.
I'm no longer getting personally deep dive involved in anything because there's too much flashback coming back and I don't need it. The sidewalk, I've been questioned about, does that affect occupancy? No, it does not. It would be just like an improvement anywhere else, and it's actually off property and it's being done by the town, and it's not part of the contract, so it doesn't affect that. And Do you, I don't like going down this road, but I will, the request for the wall up, do we need a vote on that?
Wasn't decided, was it?
Well, last time it was put on hold, I think we can stay on
Wasn't
hold.
decided.
So we decided with a vote, correct?
There's no vote.
We just keep it on hold forever? Okay, fine, then I'm all set.
Mr. Chairman, I'm concerned about hearing what the cost is gonna be for the destruction of the town hall, and prior to me approving or agreeing to approve any additional expenses. I wanna find out what that's gonna cost before we start buying tables and chairs and everything else. We're gonna make sure we've got enough money there to do that project. Then we can come back and readdress some of these other issues, at a later date.
Okay,
We're gonna talk about that coming up.
anything else?
So,
Are we gonna be moving on to the town hall, or we got more senior center
we
stuff?
got more seniors.
Okay, I've got some other things.
So the next thing, and maybe we can discuss it and then return to it after the town hall discussion. But the CRA's request for additional furniture to get pricing. I broke the pricing out to the items that were requested. There was 50 chairs for $16,891.50, 6 chair carts that would go with those to move them and store them, $1,639.74, one credenza for $5,364.80, and I'll flip down and I do have some graphics of what these are. And then 6 other tables for about $4,662.90. 2 exterior benches. I wanna stress that if anything, those should be recommended because they were left off of the order with the furniture and the contractor. These are exterior along the sidewalk. So we put those into this. And then there's freight and installation costs for a total of $37,405.40. Just so you know what, and you can see it in your packet too. These are the chairs and the chair carts. These are the tables that are being requested. They're a fold-up table. That's the exterior benches. We need 2 of those. And then the credenza. So I don't know if anybody wants to give any more, Bob, whether you have more information on the purpose of these, what they're gonna be used, where they're gonna be used, to go over with the committee. I thought that
I'm not so
would be used.
sure
That's all?
exactly
No.
where they're gonna be used. I know that in the large room, the chairs and the tables were gonna be used in there.
No, they weren't. She said no on that because they can't go in, they don't fit.
Okay.
These were to be used in other areas. I think they were going to be used for potentially in the game room, but even that had space limitations.
And my thought about this is
Then there was
if
chairs.
the tables aren't put up, and they're just having a meeting without tables, that's probably what they're gonna use
That's what the extra chairs
the
will have.
50 chairs for, so, they'll replace the tables so you could watch movies or whatever in there where you don't necessarily need tables.
Are these the same chairs that the presently have, with the same style?
Yes.
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 And it's $6,000 for a credenza, is this like what the TV's resting on, or?
No.
I see it, but I don't see it.
Sounds expensive.
And my other question is, I don't think we have the storage capacity for the 50 chairs. But you don't know until you're in the building, but.
So my
we've got-
thought-
Some of the stuff gets put away, and all the closets, I think, were made for the past estimates, but it is what it is.
So if you
They'll find a
remember,
place, so.
if you
Go ahead.
remember the discussion at the last meeting, my suggestion was for the original furniture subcommittee, FF&E subcommittee to regroup, including Brian, who hadn't been part of the initial discussion around these additional items, yourself, Beth, and anybody else, to make sure that there was consensus. Everybody agreed that we needed all these things. Go back and do another walkthrough. I don't know if that occurred or not.
Go ahead, it's your committee.
We did do a walk through again, with, a bunch of different folks from,
Since the last meeting?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they covered about 50,
Yeah,
the list had like 14 things on it, they cut the list down to 7. I don't know exactly what they were, but I know I got an
The extra
email
things.
that they did pare things back.
That's good. It's good progress. Well, there is a couple, I mean, obviously, we need the outside exterior benches. We don't have to take, it's not all or nothing. I think the seats we probably should put on hold. You know, until the actual, at least, until the actual project is completely closed out and the account is closed out, there's a lot of time, you know. We have accounts that have balances that are probably many years old, right? Until you actually close out the finances and the accounting of the accounts, these purchase can be made in the future. You know, as long as we don't need these guys to help us move them or set them up, which it doesn't sound like we do, so.
There's a caveat to that, and that's the demolition. The demolition was cut out of the original bid. Now it will probably be added back in, so whatever we saved, we're probably gonna spend all the money somewhere along the line. I don't think the account will be sitting dormant for.
Well, that's what I'm saying, let's wait until we get the old, you know, the cost estimate down, we decide to go forward with the demo. And then in a year or two, if you have money to buy 50 more chairs, and these don't suffice, then do it then.
Well, I think we should ask the furniture committee what they have for priorities within this list. I mean, we've already know that the exterior benches we need. Do we need the 50
Maybe.
chairs? Probably, because the room only has enough chairs for around the table, so you take the tables out, and you wanna have a bigger meeting for a movie or a guest speaker, then you're gonna need those chairs, but I'm not gonna speak for the furniture committee.
You just did.
That's the exact reason why.
Okay, there you go.
As far as the benches go, you know, when we first started this project 100 years ago, I was more involved. We were really talking about dedications. You know, like we do another set, like we have the Tricentennial Park on the other side of town.
Right.
You walk out there, you'll find benches with people's names on them. Right? When you're talking about benches like this, let's say they're gonna cost $2,300 a piece, like $400 a piece. You need 2 of them. I'm willing to bet you, if you put the word out, we got a couple of benches, if you wanna have a dedication, if we want a small dedication to someone will pay to have that thing installed. I don't think we have to do that. I think we can get people to do that. I bought a bench up at Tricentennial myself, you know, and I think we put in 4 of them up there. But it's a good way to recognize someone, you know, a family member or anything like that. And honestly, believe you put that word out that that's available to somebody, they'll jump on it. I really think that'll happen.
If I could add to that, I think as long as you know the benches that we need to match the ones that are already there, and the same with the chairs in a multi-purpose room,
Yeah.
it's just about buying the right stuff, and you already know what they are.
And they're coming from Mason, right? All that involves is putting a plaque across the back of it somewhere. That's all it is.
Yes.
Where's the COA on the full brick
You volunteer?
recognition?
It's the first step.
Engrave the bricks?
We're working on the bricks right now. We're not using the renderings. We're gonna be doing an outline around the edges. And, possibly,
That was supposed to raise some money too, right?
This project had to go through planning.
that really wasn't supposed to raise a lot of money.
think Steve just brings a point of
We
permitting and improvements
And
in the town.
pathways and stuff that
It has to be done afterwards.
it has to go to the planning board.
Needs town approval.
I think the other thing in terms of planning them, you need to be mindful of where the septic system is and stay away from all that.
That whole back area looks like a nice great lawn, but that is the septic field. And if we're not engraving the composite pavers, we didn't necessarily need to do it.
We couldn't get out of it. We couldn't stop. We tried to stop it afterwards, we couldn't. We were already ordered.
Yeah, that was the whole plan. You were gonna pluck a blank one and replace it with an engraved one, and that patio we just saw pictures of.
But
What
the
happened with that?
problem that we had is the bricks couldn't be ground. Nobody could take and etch those bricks the proper way. And, so that was the problem.
The company itself doesn't have the ability to do it right.
They do it, they said they did. The problem is the cost, the time of shipping them back out, back and forth. It wouldn't be cost effective to do that.
Did we ever discuss, this is a complete surprise to me, how come we don't know about
It's a
it?
surprise to me, but I'm not having comments. Somebody over here raising hand, yeah.
How many benches are up front now that these need to be matched?
We have two that are underneath the overhanging front.
And these two go in those little, they go in the, adjacent to the sidewalks on the right and left side.
Because the Friends have a fundraiser for benches too. That's why I was asking if these two were necessary. Because they're trying to raise money for benches also. That's why I'm pushing. As far as the furniture goes, the 50 chairs are very important. That's one of the main important things. So, and spending that much money on benches to me seems like an awful lot of money. I agree with Bob. But if you want them to, if they want them to match, I guess you have to do that.
If you want. They don't-
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
Any other questions?
I'm just saying to Bob, that the benches, as expensive as they are, maybe hopefully the Friends will have a solution, but I think that's kind of maybe a safety thing, if people are waiting for the gaffer bus to show up.
Yeah,
wait for a
there's
ride.
2 benches out there now that
There are,
would probably
okay.
be
Yeah.
under,
You're not without benches.
Oh, that's
It's the two that are on the far ends, there's
should
there's
they
a
be
little
waiting
pad
for the Gatra bus or have
next
to
to the
wait?
sidewalk that these are supposed to go.
Okay.
If they're not there, they're.
Okay, so we got something.
It can work.
I'm willing to bet the Friends put it out in the newsletter that they're looking for a couple of medication benches to be installed. You know, a couple of people are gonna step forward and make it happen. I could get one family right now in town that I would approach and ask if they'd be interested, so I think it could happen.
So at this point, we're just gonna defer a decision on additional furniture until the next meeting.
Hopefully, we can put on the agenda a report from your committee, your subcommittee. And it's good that you cut the list down, that's great news. For me to present what's remaining on the list and why it's important. So we all understand.
And going back to the brick, which is a sore subject with me, but I'm not going down that road. The brick that is installed now has a lot of movement in it, because A, it's new, and it hasn't had time to settle. And I was requested to go up to Walpole and see how their brick are, because the brick at the new Nelson Senior Center, not that spiked heels are coming back, but a spiked heel can probably go through the opening, and I don't think there's many senior citizens that are running around with spiked heels, but that's a fashion statement. So I went up to Walpole. There's some movement in their brick, but their brick has also been there for 4 years, so it's been filled with sediment and leaves and whatever. So there has been some tightening up. And after I went to Walpole, I went back to the Nelson Senior Center, and at 1 in the afternoon with the sun beating down on it, it didn't move hardly at all, yet this morning I was there at 10 o'clock and there was more movement than at noontime, but not as much movement as 8 o'clock. So I just feel that over time, the movement won't be there. As far as somebody's heel getting caught in it, I don't know how that works out.
Do Walpole have any dedication books?
Yes, they do.
So where do they have
But
those?
the problem is, they're very dull. Because the engraving is not deep and the lettering is, and I did not talk to the guy who's having the engraving done now, but I threw up my hands on the whole brick thing. Because I found out 2 weeks ago that that it was not going to be used for the purpose that we batted around here for a year and a half. And that they were going to regular brick, which was easier to get engraved and put in walking paths and whatever, so I just took my hands off, and that was one of the reasons I decided not to get deeply involved in anything, because I know how much time and effort we put into specifically having that brick for a specific purpose that we weren't told of being erased. So that's the, I would just want to talk about the movement of the brick. It's there, it moves a little bit, I think it'll settle after a while. If worse comes to worse, Bob Kimball and I will go buy beach sand and we'll start filling in between, because we don't have to take,
So fill it or something.
whatever.
So,
And we'll do it, as a donation, but I don't think it has to be done right now.
Well, and also to have that, we requested that Seaver get in contact with the manufacturer's rep to come out and do an inspection to make sure that how it was installed, the landscaper is correct.
Right. Hopefully he gets there at 8 in the morning and not 1 in the afternoon, so.
So did it turn out to be less expensive with traditional brick versus the rubber?
Well, no,
Engravable style.
the rubber brick is there.
Oh.
The traditional brick is gonna be in addition to, somewhere in the future, the Friends of the Senior Center are going to start selling brick
We are selling it.
that has names in it,
But
that
they
is
can't,
more
you can't go
permanent.
in this existing patio.
This
That only has
existing
enough-
patio will be the plain red brick, and that's it.
Yeah, they sit in trays, so that, the composite brick is really only about that thick.
Yeah, yeah. So you need to go, if you wanna continue on with this, you need to go in front of the planning board and find a different site, is that what we're saying, where you can do the?
We'd have to do a standalone wall for the brick, or we have to do another place where we can put the brick
Right.
Later on.
later on.
Right, so,
We went through a lot of, with the brick.
Oh, I understand that the bricks, work that you see over at the high school, I had done years ago, I created a separate park before the project, high school building was done. So I had to pick the right brick company that I could match the engraved brick and the company that will engrave them, I swapped them out myself. I go every weekend and I get a handful and, you know, so I know the work that's involved with it all. But we had, well, we continue to talk about this, but for this $50,000 project, we've overkilled it as far as discussion. But I was just surprised that with all was said and done, nothing was done. It never happened, so it's too bad.
Okay, moving along.
so we'll move on to the town hall project.
Steve, well, before we do that, I have one thing to update. We talk about money coming back into the project. If you remember, Emergency Management applied for a grant through FEMA and MEMA for reimbursement on the generator. So we got a 50% reimbursement on the generator. Steve got me all the paperwork. I submitted the reimbursement request. It was approved, so it's in the works. The check will be in the mail.
That's great. Good job.
How much was it? $50,000.
And another thing, now that we're moving on to the town hall, being up there today, I went looking for the AED cabinets and the trauma kit cabinets, and I realized there are 3 cabinets in the building. In this building, we only have 1 AED to transfer, which leaves the 2 cabinets empty, which I don't quite understand, because at the entrance, there's a cabinet, and just inside the large meeting room, there's another cabinet, but I'm not the architect or whoever decided to do that. So technically, we have to get 2 more AEDs. Talking with the fire department, because that's who we, well, for there, and I think we have the 2 AEDs for the town hall, because they already have 2, but talking with the EMS division at the fire department, asking about ordering them, and I was hoping Beth would be here, but Ray, you may know something about it, haha. He mentioned that they got media grants.
Yeah, I mean, the Norton Media Center has a grant twice a year, grant period, where they solicit grants from the agencies or nonprofits in the town.
So that's how some of the other AEDs have gotten that.
Absolutely.
I don't know if we should ask, or is it up to the committee, and I don't know who to probably like.
It only happens twice a year, spring and fall.
Right, so
So
we're in
what's the
time
fall?
for the fall one, I would hope.
Huh? Oh, yeah, your fall's coming up, yeah.
So should we apply for
Sure.
the we? I don't know who the we is, but I'm hoping
I
it's
would
not
think it'd be
me.
Beth,
Okay, I will,
or, friends of the
For
senior
here or for the
center.
town hall?
what, for here, for the,
For the senior
for the
center.
new senior center,
Okay.
because we have 3 cabinets, we only have 1 AED to transfer. And when I went to school, when you have 3 and take away 1, you have 2 left. We're gonna need 2 AEDs.
So-
And rather than pay $1,500 apiece for them, plus 10%, plus a gazillion other reasons to charge us more money, delivery and whatever, this was suggested to me out of the clear blue sky, that all we had to do was make an application for a media grant. And I guess I will go to the media center and, oh, Beth, you said Beth.
Or
I'll approach
have a
Beth.
friend, have a friend put it.
It,
It's a very simple, I've done it myself, it's very simple.
Oh,
if you go on Norton
You're the
Media,
friends.
if you go on the Norton, if you go on the Norton
Do
Media
you wanna
Center
put in for
website.
the media grant?
Yeah.
It's a very
And,
simple process, we did it at the Historical Society, they made it real simple to ask for, so, not a big deal.
And you want 2, well, I don't think I have not walked specifically around the town hall to see where all the little cabinets that nothing will fit are. But, I believe there's only 2 there, 1 upstairs and 1 downstairs. And they already have 2 in the old town hall, so. And I think that's all I have. You're up again,
Okay.
still.
Nope. All right, town hall. So progress by Emma O'Connor since our last meeting. Again, O'Connor's working from second floor to the first floor. Carbon VCT installation is in, millwork and casework installation is ongoing. Toilet petitions are installed to get their false ceiling inspections. Fire protection, plumbing, HVAC, and electrical technology finishes are continuing. HVAC equipment startups are partially complete there, that's also been going. Sidewalks, loam spreading, and top course paving is done. The top course went down today. Ed did the punch list of the second floor on this past Friday. At this point, Emma O'Connor is 86% complete through their July requisition. Those photo progress, and these are all relatively new photos. August 20th is the picture of the front elevation. Photo on the right is the prep that's been done for the concrete plaza, the front of the building.
I'm gonna take away some of your thunder. The plaza on the right has been poured. which you might have pictures later
Yep,
on.
yep.
And today they did the blacktopping on 2/3 of the project.
Right.
Any geo footprints in it? Hopefully not.
In the concrete, I put my initials, yeah.
Next photo on the left, again, is just another view of the plaza concrete with the 3 flagpole areas. Photo on the right is one view of the select board meeting room, with light fixtures, ceiling in, a lot of the woodwork complete. Next 2 photos are again the select board meeting room. You can see the select board desk here. Next photo is a couple days later where they've got the carpet in the select board meeting room, so really got a good idea of what it's gonna look like. Photo on the right is the full privacy toilet partitions installed. Photo on the left is the MDF server room on the first floor. Photo on the right is a complete photo on the second floor. Covered the woodwork, carpet, ceilings, exit signs, glazing. Next photo on the left, again, corridor up on the second floor, in nearly complete condition. Photo on the right is the typical transaction counter, actually facing out towards where your customer would be. Next photo on the left is the privacy fence at the property line. Photo on the right is the loam finish grade at the septic field. It's adjacent to the highway department behind the building. Next photo on the left is a photo of the plaza concrete in its newly formed state. Photo on the right is a photo from today of the paving of the top course. This happens to be the staff parking lot on the side of the building. So schedule look ahead for O'Connor's to continue the interior and exterior painting, continue and finish up their millwork and casework, complete the select board room audio visual, install building specialties, complete the elevator installation, continue fire protection, plumbing, HVAC, and electrical finishes, complete the equipment, HVAC equipment startups, move on to HVAC commissioning and testing and balancing. Continue the site work, which would be your striping of your pavement and your directional signage and handicap signs. Also, the EV chargers have been installed. So, you get a picture of that up there. We've got 3 of them on the staff side. Punch list inspections, again, punch list has started at the second floor. The various building department inspections and the architect and engineer affidavits need to be done. And then they'll move on to owner training on the building systems.
I'm on a couple, I serve on a couple committees, we need to get DPW put off, and in the back of that building, the way it's graded, you all know it's not gonna work. And I'm not suggesting we even think about making a change order, and I'm not suggesting that, but I think the other members have to realize that in the future, we're gonna have to spend a few dollars to build some kind of retaining wall there, to kind of flatten that thing out, because right now it's like this. And I know they can't mow it in the condition it's in now, and some of the material after heavy rain is actually still coming down into the parking lot of the DPW. And I know it's not on, I asked one contractor there myself, and he said, no, this is what we've been approved to do. So at some point in the future, we're gonna have to, come up with a few dollars a brick of wall of our own, to hold some of that back. But if you stand in the office of the DPW, as you come out and look straight ahead, you see what I'm talking about.
No, we know the area.
It's just the way it was designed, and it's not only does it not look pretty, it's gonna, as far as taking care of it, it's gonna be impossible unless you have a hand lawnmower going up the hill. And then, of course, the material is coming down into the driveway, so, for a future date, the town will have to address that. And we've been talking with a couple of options that we might be able to tap into without the town having to pay for it themselves. But that's, I'm just bringing that to the attention of the committee. It's,
I would have to check that. I don't know if that's a regular lawn mix there. It might be.
I don't think it is.
Yeah,
That's what I was gonna
maybe
say, it
something
hasn't
for-
been
for
planted.
a slope. Okay, I mean, right now, that's not done. I mean, they're gonna wrap around to that.
we'll see what they do. and-
Yeah, we'll
and we'll
give it a
take
chance
from
and see
there.
how it works out. The other thing too is, a lot of the washouts in the back is prior to gutters going up, so you're
The
getting,
downspouts haven't been connected yet.
yeah, and you're getting
Whatever's
direct,
out there comes down.
direct
Well, no,
off
they're
of the roof.
short, so it's just coming right down the
Yeah.
slope.
It's coming down.
But no, we know it's we've been watching that area. So, other issues for the town hall, existing town hall demolition. So we issued a proposal request to Emil O'Connor for abatement, demolition, and construction pricing. Did get, middle of last week, a PCO for $1.261 million for the demolition and rebuilding of the walls and relocation of utilities for the old town hall. We haven't really evaluated it closely yet because we just got it, but that's the number that's coming. And before we discuss it, we'll just move on because I got another slide where some of the numbers come in. The project schedule right now for Emil O'Connor, they have submitted a request for a no-cost time extension for an additional 9 weeks to September 6th. We just got that letter request last week. Ed and I are going to, necessarily discuss in detail, we are going to respond to that request. And because again, like we've said in previous meetings, they have continued to look at the water infiltration issue as a delay, and we have rejected that numerous times. So they've added a few more things that we will also address. The moving, right now, town hall is scheduled to move the 16th of September, pending all our final inspections and our certificate of occupancy. And tentatively with that, the town hall will be closed from the 16th to the 18th for the various departments to move. We have asked for things to be tagged as to what's getting moved, so that we can do the same thing as we have here, where we drop off the renter crates and various occupants pack up their belongings and their files. So that's the schedule we're working towards right now for the actual move.
Yes, go ahead.
What happens with that whole T1 line thing, state elections? Or don't discuss it.
I had a conversation with the town clerk, and it didn't go well, unfortunately. She immediately shut down on me a bit, but I understand her concern. You know, she's got a primary in Missouri, which isn't gonna have any impact on
No,
T1.
Primary will be fine, yeah.
But the question is whether or not we can move it from the existing town hall to the new town hall and get it properly installed and prepared before the November election. And
Go ahead, finish your
her position is, she was very concerned about the fact that she has to, that day, has to report information. She's concerned it won't be working with it. So I went in, I found the T1 line that's coming into the clerk's office. And I looked down on the floor and there was this massive wire laying on the floor with a couple of units attached to it. And I simply suggested that what would happen if we took that and moved it to the other side of the wall, to the building that's still gonna be there, right? We're talking about maybe a distance of 20 feet at the post. If we just moved it to the other side of the wall, come up to the basement and move it to the other side. And she really doesn't want us to touch it until the November elections are done. I don't know what the timeline would be on this, whether or not we would still be in that building first week of November. As far as
That's not the
occupying,
plan.
it's coming down,
We'll be longer.
Yeah.
so.
I mean,
I can say that the new town hall is ready for the T11.
And my understanding is the
The
state has,
hardware and everything else is there.
the state has to come to
The
do it.
problem arises is the state, who sent people a letter saying they're not coming till December, is the state. And if we wanna go the political route and try to get that changed, that's the only way that's gonna happen, so. We could have the select board send a note to the state that we're gonna demolish the building. I don't know if that'll speed them up any, or do we go through our elected representatives, who some of them are changing during this whole process? I don't know, but
Mr. Chair, I'd ask
the
select-
building, as far as the building committee is concerned, we're ready for it to happen.
And I would suggest the select board take the reins on this and go to our state reps and senators and talk to them about it. Figure out a way to get this to happen after the primary. You know, figure
Yeah,
out
it's not-
how we can get this moved.
She's known for 4 months that it's not gonna happen before the primary. And we all knew that, and I don't know why there's still a question about the primary, and it's 2 weeks away, it's not gonna happen, but, you know, the regular election in November, that was the question, and we had batted about keeping it in the old building, we'll still have the old, all that kind of baloney, but, you know, the biggest holdup is not the building committee or M. O'Connor or anybody sitting in this room. It comes from Boston and not from here, and Boston's already answered the question, and it is what it is as far as I'm concerned.
I think the question has to be asked, what do you want the town of Norton to do, state officials?
Yeah.
What do you want the town to do? We're in the process of signing a contract to take down the building. What do you want us to do? How do you want us to handle this? How do you want us to report the information in November if from a building that's not gonna be there? Perhaps this is where the select board, town manager have to get involved and figure it all out.
So Jim, Bob's suggestion is to work through Steve and have the select board maybe follow up with a letter to maybe our existing reps and maybe even those that are running for, I don't know if they have any power, but. So I don't know if you-
Primaries.
I don't know if that's something you wanna
Well,
ask.
we have a select board representative here. Will you take that task?
Yeah, I wanna hear from Ray first, he had something.
Well, as we said, the Comcast has done their installation work, the circuit is there. What has to happen now is the state has to say, okay, we're moving the connection from the old one to the new one. And then we have to move the equipment from the old one to the new one. So, whenever that happens is dependent on the state.
But that equipment you're talking about is nothing more than 2 or 3 modem boxes sitting on the floor in the town hall
Exactly.
now.
But they have to go in the new server room, they're not going in Lucia's office in the new building.
you know, the state doesn't physically move anything. They,
Push
quote
the buttons.
unquote, put the switch,
Right.
and they made that pretty clear.
So let's have them flip it a month earlier. We'll be all set.
It would be the thing to do, if you can get them to budge. And that's gonna take political pressure.
So, we take that basketball, pass it to our select board representative, and the ball's in your court.
All right.
But Mr. Chairman, as a minimum, I'm telling you, it can't be from something on the floor to the corner of the building that's gonna be there after we knock down the other one.
Well, you may wanna just hold that thought, because the building may still be there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's all she said, if the building is still here
Right.
and has power and I can use it,
Yeah,
it might
I
be.
have
We get to
a
the-
guess that the building will still be there.
yeah, we
Yeah.
get to the next couple slides.
Now, I don't think M. O'Connor's gonna come out with a wrecking ball on
Unless you get
October
change order.
1st and knock everything down, so, if it happens to get the Sunburst,
Uh,
if we're that far along.
let's hold a couple of thoughts here, let me get to the next couple of things, because there's thought process there. So that's the move. Just a change order summary, we've issued 8 change orders. This slide changed a little bit. We had a progress change order last time. We added a couple of things to it. So we got $180,000 in change orders. Our construction contingency remaining down, given the 180 plus some estimated phase 1, phase 2 potential change orders is $490,015. Now, this is the important slide for, I think, for today. Budget and contingency currently remaining for hard and soft and bid savings. So construction contingency, as you said, we got $490,015. Soft cost contingency at this point is zero, because we bought out the audiovisual and the furniture, which was higher than the regular budget. Our bid savings, though, is still $660,120. So we have $1.15 million in the town hall budget as we speak today, prior to talking about demolishing the existing town hall. Now, below the line are the costs for demolishing the existing town hall. And just follow my logic here. We've got, if we were to go forward, the architect design fees, which we've approved a portion of it for the actual design, and the construction administration is $130,600. OPM fees, I estimated at $100,000 for additional months. Putting a contingency on the PCO that M. O'Connor submitted, which is the $1.261865 million. Put 10% contingency on that, because we're knocking down an existing building. We don't know exactly what's there. So I just made that 10%, which is $126,100. Adding those up and comparing it to what we have in our remaining budget, we are $207,230 short. So, given that, if the thought process is to say, okay, we've got savings and additional funds in the senior center that the town wants to combine to fund this, we can't do that now with M. O'Connor as a change order, because you have to get that approval at a town meeting. So that would defer all of this work to later, and also be a separate procurement, because at that point, M. O'Connor is most likely going to be gone, finished, complete with their work, unless we can say to them, hey, we may get this approved, we can issue a change order if you want to stay on board. We haven't even had that conversation yet. But what I was getting at is, given this, it is very likely that clerk's office is still going to be there for the whole discussion on the T1, which I think you agree with. Yeah.
How much is left in the contingency for the town, for the community building? How much is left in the community building? As far as
For which building?
Seniors.
Seniors, oh. Let's see. Yeah, I didn't put that in, because we're really talking about the budget, but, we have,
more than 207,000.
oh, absolutely. Yeah, we've got, I have to look somewhere else for
The town manager at our last meeting, he indicated that there was gonna be a placeholder put on the warrant for the fall town meeting, which is the end of October, that would allow us to take money from both the senior center community building and the town hall, if we needed some additional money to fund removing the existing town hall from the property. And you're right, you can't do it till the end of October, last Monday in October, and before it can happen, as far as the transfers go. There's also some money left over from the old Field of Dreams project too. That was part of this override, this debt exclusion. So, you know, there is money out there, it's just a question of how we can get the money in the right place at the right time. But unfortunately, we're not gonna be able to do any of that until after town meeting in the fall.
Right.
So,
And we have a placeholder at the town meeting. We will now have a somewhat, I don't think it's a concrete number, but we'll call it a concrete number. As a matter of information, in your last month's report, the contingency remaining at the senior center was $792,214. I have a-
It covers the 207.
I have a problem with the numbers because we're demolishing an existing building that we don't know what we don't know. What's in that building, how it's interconnected, and the bigger problem to me is the minute we say we're demolishing that building, the fire department, and I'm not trying to put, you can shut this off, but it doesn't matter. The fire department's gonna come in with a remodeling plan, because they're gonna wanna remodel those 2 floors and try to make it like everybody else has done in town, attach it to the building committee. I mean, we had the school attached to Field of Dreams, we had the library try to attach the parking lot, and I'm sure the fire department, after some discussion 6 months ago, finally found an architect to tackle the remodeling of the 2 floors to make them adaptable to what they want to do with them. So I'm afraid that what we don't know about the building being demolished, that there is going to be a cost overrun as far as I'm concerned.
Well, that's why I have a 10% contingency.
I don't think that's enough.
never during any
Rule
of
of
the
thumb for
discussion,
a renovation, which I'm guessing.
never during any of our
Even if you do
discussion,
20%,
we ever
it's still
talk
gonna be
about
enough.
doing any renovations.
As long as we get it.
I understand that, but,
So I don't think that's an issue, because it's not,
okay, fine. So
it's not what we brought to the town meeting.
I think it's
We brought a plan to the
I
town
think,
meeting.
I think we're just like the brick. You brought up that if they're gonna do the brick, they have to go to the planning board, the brick has never been discussed, it's something that we should be aware of, not something that I wanna have to tackle, but I think we should be aware of it. I think we should be aware of, we don't know what we're demolishing.
There's some added complexities with this as well.
Yeah.
Jim?
If I could, the decision on how you wanna go, still, it does affect the contract that we have now. Because the contract with M. O'Connor is to finish the building, move people out, take the food pantry addition only off the building, infill that, there's a little bit of roof work that has to happen. We gotta really
And wrap all
decide.
that up basically by the first or second week in November.
Yeah, that's their end date.
So, can I ask a question? So we don't know the status of asbestos or lead or anything else like that?
We do, we have the report.
We have a report.
That doesn't mean we might not find anything as we peel back layers, but the
Right.
report identified.
Okay.
Does this number here reflect the cost that we were going to already incur taking down the old food
They
pantry?
credited back.
They give us credit for that?
Yep.
Go ahead.
You said you hadn't looked at the 1.26 million yet, that proposal. Any chance that'll change or?
Doubtful.
Yeah.
If anything, we'll probably add
Slightly.
things.
Yeah. Basically what they did is they had the PCO was like 45 pages long because all the attachments are the various subs. Maybe there's some mistakes on overhead and profits, but it's not gonna take it down to
The
1
order of
million.
magnitude is
Yeah.
gonna be the same.
We just gotta look at it to make sure that it may not be a scope hole or the addition is correct.
The other complexities with this, just to kind of take a couple steps back, is we need to, as part of this work in the 1.2, there's third-party engineering to re-engineer the guy wire attachments for the antenna that's on the top of the fire station.
Which
That's not,
nobody's using.
well, there's still something active up there when we talk to the fire department, so
Yeah,
that's baked into this number.
they use it.
In terms of timing, that's gonna extend, this isn't gonna be done by December 31st, if we get the go-ahead in October. This is gonna extend quite a bit as a result of that. The other piece, when we talked to the building department about this, is there's some complex issues relative to accessibility inside the existing fire department when we're done. It's not a straightforward matter to resolve. We did not address that as part of our work, and it's something that we've been talking with Nick about, but,
The town manager was at the meeting, at the last meeting, and the concern seems to be they have an exercise room in the basement of the town hall, down underneath the fire station.
that's part of it.
And that's part of the issue. That can be moved anywhere, that can be moved somewhere else.
I don't know
If that
where.
becomes an issue.
I don't know where.
What could be moved, the gym?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Just the
Because
gym.
keep in mind that the last room in what's gonna be left is the hub of the whole fiber network for the town.
That stays.
It stays, yeah, okay. I just get out of the way.
So let me ask you about the Nelson donation. If that were to come prior to the October town meeting, can that money be, we'll have to ask the town manager and the accountant, can that be allocated towards this 207,000? No. Okay.
I am not gonna answer that question. I have already stated my standing on that whole thing, that
Because it was specifically designated for the senior center.
Okay.
Well, the good thing about it though is that right now you're sitting with just over 600,000 left in the COA or the community building. And I know you got some additional change orders that want to get done. But that money, whatever's left, you leave some there, you leave some in the town hall, and you take the rest of it at town meeting and you put it into this demolition project, where you could probably put in more than you're even saying you're gonna need, in case something does come up.
Yeah, you could
I was
So
saying
you-
before, I would double the contingency, if that's the case, we're gonna do it.
Yeah.
Just move everything into it and just use that money for the demolition. You run into something, money's gonna be there. What we don't wanna do is have to go back to town meeting at any point and say, we need more money. We don't wanna do that.
Yeah, if we go back in October and we're gonna shift this around, I have no doubt that it pass. If we're gonna ask for even 25,000 more,
Exactly.
then it's, you know.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So the town will, any kind of major expense, if it doesn't involve an override, it usually passes like 90% plus at town meeting, and that's it. If you're asking them to increase taxes, no matter how much merit it has or how little, I mean, of course, this passed, right? But going back to M. O'Connor, I don't know how you convey this to them, but it's very highly probable that in our October town meeting, these funds will be transferred and we'll have money for this project, but, you know, I don't know how much assurance. Do you think that they're gonna come back and raise the quote if it's project's extended through the winter? Is that one of your concerns? Don't know.
Yeah, it would be one of my concerns.
Yeah.
They might not be interested in it.
Yeah.
Because
If
it's
they-
past the end date.
Yeah, because if, we don't know what their backlog of work is. We know that their super now is going to another job. So that doesn't mean that they're gonna, you know, they've included superintendents and so forth, but it's probably not gonna be the same guy. And I don't know what a, because essentially they would stop doing anything as of finishing the new town hall and wait until essentially November 1st to have an answer. So,
And this can't be broken up piecemeal by timeline, like what can you do between now and our town meeting and then stick around and finish it off after the final funds are approved, you know? It's kind of like,
Can't leave the building hanging.
I know, yeah.
you couldn't sign a change order for the amount without verifying the availability of funds.
Correct.
And you, even though you have the funds, it's not
available.
available under the town hall. I don't, and trying to say, okay, we're gonna give you a change order for half, it's like, okay, that's gonna be difficult. It's gonna where's the line, and then what happens if it doesn't pass? If you've got half a building coming.
If we're not taking money from anybody else, if we're not going to town meeting and saying, we need $25,000, $100,000, that's money that people in the town see is going to their schools, their fire department. We're taking money out of their kitty. This is money that's already been allocated for the purpose of putting up 3 projects. The money's already there. We're already paying for it. We've already borrowing the money on it. So if we end up with, say, between the two, after contingencies, if we have money left over from the town hall and the community building that total $1.6 million, $1.7 million, and we're saying it's gonna cost $1.2 million, $1.3 million to take it down. The best way to do it in town is to move that money, $1.6 million, $1.7 million, into the removal of this town hall, and let the extra money sit there for the time being, in case something else comes up that we don't foresee. You know, and that's the cushion we need to have. Now, the worst thing that's gonna happen when we're done with contingencies, we're done with the demolition, and we've got 300 grand left over. That's the worst thing, that's the worst case scenario. That 300,000 can reduce our debt, and it goes away. We can't use it for anything else. We can only use it for these 3 projects. So whatever money is left over can reduce everything down. And maybe one payment that we don't have to make, you know?
Going back to our potential change orders, PH1 and PH2, what are those that are?
Placeholders for things we may run into, you know, ledge, because the phase 2 base contract has some earthwork involved. So I'm just trying, I look at worst case. That way, overly optimistic, you don't get caught. You know, if worst case, we don't spend that money, and that goes back into.
Because that's almost what we need here, that's almost the deficit, 179,000. That are, they're just placeholders, you know, that's why I was wondering how much flexibility is there on those?
Well, I mean, even if it all went away, you'd still be short by less.
30,000.
Yeah.
Maybe you can negotiate 30,000 less off of their bid. It's a lot of, small amount in comparison to what we're looking at. But if those were just placeholders and we didn't really know what they were for yet, then I was gonna say, let's.
So I have a question on that. And I'm not familiar with any of these change orders. I came in too late to understand what they're all about. But what if there is a change order here, that could be done later on? I know you guys have to be involved in it, but if we still had the money after to do whatever the change order was, and I'm not sure, again, I don't know what these are.
Most of them, they've already been done. They're things that came up as we went along, yeah.
Except for that. Except for the placeholders.
Yeah, the 1 through 8, has been
Executed.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out how we could come up with another $207,000.
So are there any other questions? I think we ought to table this to the next meeting after Vertex and the engineers get to look at the proposal from M. O'Connor. And we will hopefully be able to is M. O'Connor giving us a deadline for approval or?
No, we'll talk about it tomorrow.
We're only 2 months away, at our next meeting, we'll only be a month away from our October town meeting.
Hopefully, a month from now, we'll be in both buildings and we know where we sit with a lot of question marks. Hopefully, the whole Nelson thing has resolved itself, and we'll be in a better standing to know what's going on. I don't see any need for meeting 2 weeks from now I don't think anything's gonna drastically change. So I would just suggest that we table this. We finally got a quote. It seems to be, and this is not unofficial, it seems to be acceptable if we work on it. So we should be able, with more information or clarity, to vote on it at the next meeting.
The cost of this, I don't know if you call it a feasibility study or a quote, that cost us money? Is that covered in the finances?
The amendment for BBW was the design portion of that, which we approved 76 and change. That brought us up to the documents for Emma Klein to give us a number of.
What did the original demolition cost, somewhere around $88,000?
I think it was 88 that we cut out of the budget.
I think that's what.
880.
Okay, yes.
That's what I meant, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
$880,000.
880 something.
Someone was zero.
Yeah, I've heard about that one.
Yeah.
$880,000, so it is, you know, it's about $400,000.
Yeah, it's sort of a reality check.
Yeah.
Which would mean we would be in trouble if, well, it wasn't cut out a year and a half ago, right? It would be the whole $400,000.
Well, he would have been in it at the time, we would have known.
So, Mr. Chair, just one last comment about the, if the fire department is thinking about remodeling or expanding, that should be part of our agenda as well as a permanent building committee. So if they're reaching out and getting their own architect and doing their own planning, that should all be part of our agenda, part of our work as a permanent building committee for any type of projects like that.
Well, I get confused, but there is a committee in town for major projects.
It's us.
I put the selectmen on notice a year and a half ago that they should reactivate that committee because somebody brought up the highway garage needs to be replaced. Somebody brought up that the library needs a second floor, which is impossible to do. Somebody brought up another fire station in East Taunton. There's like 5 or 6 projects floating around here, but nobody has come forward to propose those projects to either us and/or the whatever major capital expenditures committee. Because there are projects out there that, you know, we've never planned ahead for anything. We planned ahead for this. The school department did their athletic fields like 7 years ago, they started. We started 5 years ago. You know, there's projects out there in people's minds that are in people's minds. And
I thought that we had talked about a process for how to handle those.
Right,
Like,
well-
we're gonna through the town all the time, manager's gonna determine whether we need to be involved with it or not, otherwise over the capital improvement committee. But what you're talking about with the fire station, they're hiring an architect immediately. I guess the town manager already established that we don't need to be part of that.
well, I think, I don't know, hire, I may have used the wrong word. When, 2 years ago, when we were talking about demolition, I went to the fire chief, I said, you want the old new town hall, you want those 2 floors to add because of getting female firefighters and the accommodations that have to be made there. They have a leak in the roof in the classroom, they supposedly wanted, and I said to him, I said, have you gone to an architect or anybody to have them study what's going on? And he told me then that they went to 5 different architects and the job was too small. Then about 6 months after that, he said he had found somebody that was willing. And whether they're willing to do it for free or what, I don't know. But that was willing to study their proposals for reuse of the new old town hall.
So if that is not in scope for this committee, what are we gonna do when these projects are complete? I mean, that's a
What we're
pretty
gonna
big
do is
project.
take
it
them
sounds
under
like.
advisement and do what we've done before, request, go out for requests and start from scratch again.
Yeah, but to
Depends if
Kevin's,
the town wants us involved.
Right.
right, but to Kevin's point, that's why this committee was formed. It was formed, this capital improvement committee, they do a 5-year plan, all right? But that has to do with fire trucks and police cruisers and some of the not the big projects like what we're talking about here. If the fire department wants to expand, and they're gonna expand into that area, and they wanna modify it, keep in mind, they have a couple extra bathrooms in there that they don't have now. There's other things in there that they're gonna be able to utilize. Rooms that could be very easily transferred into bunk areas, there's all kinds of things they can do in there. But if they're planning on doing that, if they wanna discuss that, the first place they should come is here.
Is the permanent
We
building
should
committee.
be having a
Correct.
conversation. And that goes for any town department that's thinking about, including highway or anyone else. You come in and say, hey, look, this is what we need.
And I went to the highway superintendent, who was newly appointed, and he said, I don't want it, and that's probably only because he hadn't got his feet wet from the leaks in the roof. But I went to him and I said, do you want a new building? And he said, I just have a leaky roof, I don't want a new building. And I walked away from it. I went to the fire chief and I said, when he took over 3 years ago, I said, have you looked at Gomes' old budget? In his old budget, he had $10,000 earmarked for study of a East Taunton,
East Norton.
East Norton Fire Station. He said, no, I didn't know that was in the budget, so.
So it all kind of
I was
starts
rattling cages and getting nothing, so.
It all starts kind of with the town manager. I mean, even this project, you know, Beth works for him, the town hall, of course. So maybe you can talk to Mike and just say, how do we handle these projects that are coming up through the grapevine? Should they be kind of crawled and brought to our committee?
So,
Yeah, I agree with you. I know we talked about it before, and I know the consensus was we were gonna discuss it after these projects were complete.
Yeah,
Wow.
we did talk about it before and decided all the project requests should go to the town manager. The town manager decides if this committee needs to be involved or
That's
not.
exactly what I said 5 minutes ago, that's right.
Yeah, we talked about it a couple meetings back, I think.
okay. Anything else, Steve?
All set, that's it for me, thank you.
So I have one major question. When does the town officially own both buildings? Date, don't tell me when this, and this is done. Are we gonna own the buildings after Beth moves in on the 9th and the town hall moves in on the 16th, or?
Essentially, technically, the town owns the building when the contractor reaches substantial completion. At this point on both projects, substantial completion and the certificate of occupancy are pretty much gonna be the same day. So that's the day that you start paying for the power in the building, as an example. Right now, all the power that's being used, that's being billed to the town, because you gotta set the account up in the town's name, that's a credit back from the contract.
Now, who's in charge of the conditional stuff, like, I know one of the transformers or something in the town hall, I think we're waiting for a 1,000-volt
It's the breaker.
It's the
breaker.
breaker itself.
Who's responsible, does that come out of our contingency fund?
That's part of the contractor's work they've got a, I think 1,000 amp breaker in there now, it calls for 1,200 amp breaker, because that 1,200 amp breaker came in damaged. A long lead time, so in order to keep everything going, they got their,
They put a
their
temporary.
supplier put a temporary one. They've gotta come in and do that. It'll be a scheduled shutdown at a convenient time for the town. But that'll be on the punch list.
So we will accept the building with a punch list.
Because it's not a life safety issue. We can't accept it with any outstanding life safety issues.
But unlike the old town hall, it'll have a certificate of occupancy. I had to throw that in.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Yeah. I know this isn't a permanent building commission issue, but it needs to be said. We're spending an awful lot of money on new equipment, new technology, and new stuff. And it's gonna be, we don't have a maintenance department, we don't have a facilities department, we don't have an IT department with network engineers and everything like that. What we need to do is every department head and every person that's involved in these organizations needs to get involved in this user training that the vendors are required to provide. Okay, or else this thing is just gonna turn into a quagmire in a couple of years because nobody will know how to run it. All right, and we've made a lot of investment in technology. We need to master the technology and move forward into the future.
and I know what Steve's answer is gonna be, but I'm gonna speak first as I usually do. I already brought this up to a couple of the select board members. I brought it up to the town manager. Chris, the building inspector, is gonna be the
Chris, the
overall.
health inspector.
Health inspector. He's the overall maintenance man for the buildings.
Which is crazy.
Well,
It is crazy.
I reserve comment for that, but the answer is, all of this is, I'll let Steve give you the answer. It's all on video. People can take the training
Right,
when
we
they
did,
want.
we did have the conversation at the job meeting, and that is true, that the answer was, not only will Chris Sonner be part of the training, but all the department heads for certain things. The department heads don't need training on HVAC, because you really don't want them involved with the HVAC. But your technology, some of your other building components, you do. So, and as Jim was saying, we're gonna have, O&M manuals, we're gonna have as-built drawings, and every training session is videotaped. So essentially, for when someone else comes on board later on, they can watch the video. That's a requirement of the closeout of the project. If they do a training session, they videotape it, they're gonna do the training session again.
And I brought that up, Ray, at our last meeting, and Mike was here, and I think he mentioned he has 4 people getting all of the training. I don't know who those people are, but,
Turnover, they may not be here.
yeah. This was only a month ago, so hopefully,
Yeah, I've tried, but with the override getting voted down, we don't have money, or the town does not have money to create 1 or 2 more positions. Because I talked about custodians also, and we have a contracted custodial contract, so, I brought up those 2 concerns a long time ago, and I got told it's taken care of. Whether it's taken care of, we shall see. Okay, next meeting.
point well taken though. There's a lot of turnover. I mean, I've seen it. That's why we have volunteers that live in town on these committees, right?
Suggested date
Some
is September
continuity.
23rd.
Maybe at the new senior center.
We tried that once.
Maybe.
We sure hope so.
Maybe.
We sure hope so.
We may not have the chairs, but yeah.
You wanna do it here or there? No.
Oh, it wasn't that,
No.
it wasn't that hard to change it back to here, so,
No.
although that created a broader plaque at my house, but on the phone. So, September 23rd at the new senior center. And then when we meet in October, we can meet in the new town hall in one of the 6 different conference rooms. So everybody can start having in-person meetings.
You should submit your request now. I'm approving those myself.
It's not a request, it's a demand. Okay, all those in favor of, Bob?
Motion to adjourn.
All those in favor, raise your hand. Also, Brian did call me, he's on vacation up in New Hampshire. I looked up to him.